Did we make parlays last week?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I fucking remember mine was.
DraftKings is making me verify here. Hold on. Every time I sign into DraftKings, it's a totally different process, and it's very exciting for me. Conference championship round on the Always Sunday Football Podcast. I'm Dave, joined as I am every week by Johnny. How you doing? Nice haircut, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anthony, how's it going?
Not as fresh as John, but it's going.
Yeah, few people can be as fresh as John.
Can't be a PBJ.
At least you're here. At least you made it onto the show. We're happy for that. So let's take a look back at our divisional round parlays. John and I both went 2 for 3. Now, our picks were very similar here. Okay, I can tell you exactly who picked what, and I can tell you how. So I had the Jaguars plus 8.5. They lost the game, but they lost by 7. Okay. The Cincinnati Bengals, I had on the money line, and they won it. Okay. That was my hot take. And we'll get to that game, but boy, did they ever win it. And I had Dallas plus 3.5. And while they lost by 7, there's plenty of opportunities for them to have certainly covered that spread at least. John had the Jaguars plus 8.5. He had the 49ers minus 3.5. So he picked the other side of that game and was correct. But the reason why I knew this was John's bet is because he had the Giants plus 7.5 in this game. And I never would have done that to myself. I never would have done that to myself. That's a crazy bet.
Yeah.
For minus money on top of it ever. So he just gave himself away. John has just been completely undoing all the hard work that he's been doing all season long. It's just really just something else between Brandon Staley and
his boy.
Forget about it.
The New York Giants.
Anthony, how did you do?
I have no idea.
What?
I told you I don't. You said no. I got it. You got you and John. You never have me.
No. That's right, because you have your own DraftKings. You live in a state where you can place a bet yourself. You have DraftKings. You're sitting in front of your own goddamn computer with your own account, your own money.
Yeah, I never. I never.
Who the hell do you think I am? What kind of an operation am I running here? John sent me money, Venmoed me money. John's right or wrong.
Yes.
So that I could place the bets for him. Because he doesn't live in a state that allows him to place bets. So I placed a good faith bet for him. So far, he won one bet for $13 for the season, which basically covered the second half of the season, right, John? And so
basically,
right, because he paid me for half the right. So anyway, we're good. Me and John are good. Don't worry about us, Anthony. Worry about yourself.
I'm actually worried about Anthony.
That's fair.
I'm worried. That
I usually write it down, but I didn't write it down.
Yeah, because this is consistently been a problem. But this week, suddenly, Anthony's wait a minute, you don't take my bets down. How now are you telling me that you didn't know that I haven't been recording your bets and that I don't have an agreement worked out with John so that we can do our thing? We're out here doing a thing. God damn, man. He's telling me I don't. You never take down my bets. That's right. It's week 20, motherfucker. I never take down your bets. You got an account on the computer that's sitting in front of your fucking face right now. Gosh, that's funny. So we're gonna assume that Anthony went over 3. It's the only logical conclusion here.
I'll check that. I'll check the tapes.
Well, you know what? Let's check the tapes real quick on something else so that we can get this out of the way as well, because somebody else forgot to, lodge their bets, and it was John in the DFS contest. Anthony, I don't know if you took a look at this yet.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So John, once again, for not the first time, and I don't think it was even the second time. I don't know, John.
It was only 2 times.
Anthony, did you take down, when you did your stats, did you take down everybody's position or just the first placer? First place finisher.
Well, most of the time it was first, but the only time I remember was I feel like this is the third, but he did do it on Thanksgiving. Technically, that was two
That's
contests.
2 contests. So either way, even if it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he did miss 3 contests. Case closed. So speaking of case closed, unfortunately, I did not put together a strong enough lineup this week, okay, to stay in it for another week and hopefully tie up Anthony in the end of the season. He put the contest to rest, 97.3 to 93.5. My only really good play. Yeah, the teams were really bad this week. But again, the games were pretty low scoring in a lot of ways. The offense is disappointed. We'll talk about the games. Kelsey was my only good player. He had an enormous day. The the funny part is that Anthony's lineup looks worse than mine does if you just look at the players and don't look at the total score. But he ended up with 4 more points, just under 4 more points than me, and therefore it's over. We can call it. The DFS champ for this season, for the first season of the Always Sunday podcast, is Anthony. Congratulations, pal.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say? Do you have here's what I'll do for you. Take a second or two while I put myself and my computer in a position to talk about the past week's playoff games, and give John a piece of advice, a little word of advice about DFS. A little bit of wisdom. John can use all the help he can get coming out of this, his first 3-man DFS season, really trying to build a lineup, learn something. Give him something he can chew on for the off season here. Please.
I got you, John. So listen, there's a few things you need to know about DFS. Okay, DFS is a little different than regular football. Okay, and fantasy in general. There's a little bit of things you try to look for, right? You want to know you got to get your key guys, right? Got to get your key guys who know you score, but you got to get a couple of those low guys. You know what I'm saying? You got to find your sleeper, those cheapy guys, those little bit of cheaping ones down there. Okay, you got to feel it in your jellies, John.
I should not. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. We're going to move right along. I should not have done this because it's just making me feel worse about losing. That's terrible advice, John. That made no sense at all. And read an article or something like that. Saturday, the Chiefs played the Jaguars. The number 1 seed played the number 4 seed. The Chiefs hosted Jacksonville. And quite frankly, guys, the Jacksonville Jaguars could have very, very well won this game. The final score was 27-20 in favor of the Chiefs. They're moving on. Jacksonville played well enough to win, or if you want to say the Chiefs played well enough despite Patrick Mahomes being severely injured. The door was left open for Jacksonville, and they ended up losing it pretty much at the end of the game. I know I have something to say about this, but I'm going to go to Jacksonville Jonny first. The run ends here. The magical season, Cinderella, the shoe is broken. Jacksonville Jaguars. John, what's your takeaway? What's your feel for this game? What's your overall temperature on this game, and also your overall temperature on the Jacksonville Jaguars season?
Yeah, I thought this was a great opportunity for the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat a team that is flat out just a better team. And what I'm going to say about this game, I think this boils down to coaching and missed passes, just drop balls from Christian Kirk. There's a couple of drop passes that I was like, oh my God, like you just straight up dropped that. I thought Trevor Lawrence played a decent game, but when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes, you need to play your A+. And I think that Trevor Lawrence was just okay in that game. And number 3, it just speaks about Patrick Mahomes. I actually liked Jacksonville's defense this game. I really thought that they had a really good game plan of trying to utilize that, but they could not cover Travis Kelce. It was ridiculous. But I will say this on the end note for Jacksonville is they're going to be the division winner for there, and this is not going to be the last time we see Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs. And I think Doug Peterson's going to grow from this. I thought some of the offensive play calling was a little bit I just scratching my head a little bit. I was like, well, why aren't you running the football? Because clearly the passing game's not working. So in my opinion, I think that Doug Peterson will make an adjustment in the offseason. He's a proven Super Bowl winner. Trevor Lawrence is going into his 3rd season. I really think that Jacksonville has a bright future, and they will be in the playoffs in the near future. Anthony.
What is that?
You're frozen again, and you look like you're sleeping.
Oh my God.
You do. You doze off, bro.
It's so great. I didn't
He's
even
like, what
realize
I'm
I
gonna
could
do? What I'm gonna do is like this. I'm gonna like he goes to Anthony. I'm gonna mute your sound and I'm gonna put snoring over it. I'm sorry, you were saying
This is the perfect. It really does look like I'm sleeping. It's great, but I don't know. I like ATN, man. You got to work that guy a little bit more. I think they're trying to throw in Hasty a little bit too much. You know, he should be a change of pace after like ATN just needs a break as opposed to mixing him in to see what he can do. I think that would change up a little bit, and like I think they forced a lot of that passing in. Like you could, you kept it close a lot of this game. You didn't have to just go right to the attack. Maybe it was like this little young quarterback thing, but I think if they just kept it to football, a little bit of good play calling, it could have been a better, different outcome. But agreed, like I think watch out. I think like I said, they get Calvin Ridley next year too, so like they're just gonna have weapons if he comes back to be, as we see what the time off does to you. But that's a team to watch out for. Sadly, their reign is over.
their run is over. Okay, so this is maybe the part that I don't know if anybody's said this or whatever, but if Patrick Mahomes doesn't get injured, this game is a fucking blowout. Okay, so let's just say that right now. It's a close game. They had their chance, and we can look back and be like, okay, right now we can think about this. And Patrick Mahomes was badly, badly injured. Henny came in, still led a touchdown drive. And then Mahomes came in and was just incredibly limited and still did enough to win this game. But frankly, if they had left Henny in the game, they probably would have just pulled away. And certainly if Mahomes never gets injured, this game is a fucking rout. And people are talking about how Jacksonville Jaguars didn't belong there. Trevor Lawrence isn't ready. Doug Peterson got out coached. Because you guys are right. The play calling in this game was terrible. They should have run the ball a lot more because that's the weakness of the Kansas City defense. We saw a lot of Ben Simmons from Trevor Lawrence this week. He was just he had no touch on the ball at all. He was not able to put the ball where it needed to be, and he wasn't able to come up big in big spots with big throws. Kirk did drop that one ball that was the deep pass that could have really solidified or grabbed some momentum and really like made a difference in that game that the Jaguars created for themselves. And that was just a huge, momentum killer. I think that was a huge swing in the game, frankly. If he catches that ball, a lot of things could have gone differently for Jacksonville. However, it was alluded to when you mentioned Hasty. Oh, John.
Yeah.
Anthony fell asleep. You see that? It's adorable.
Oh, good night, Anthony.
So anyway, the thing that Anthony alluded to when he mentioned Hasty that didn't get talked about is the reason why they lost. The literal reason why they lost is because the third stringer, the special teamer, okay, who had a couple nice returns, whose name is actually escaping me even right now, had that crucial fumble. Agnew, who should have never been in the game. He was carrying the ball in crucial situations in the fourth quarter and catching passes, crucial situations in the fourth quarter. Okay. Multiple touches for this guy in the fourth quarter of a playoff game where he came out of nowhere. He was a special teamer. He was a kick returner. Why is he getting those high value touches and not Travis Etienne? That makes no sense. No sense. I'm sorry. That's egregious. And Doug Peterson is not going to learn because that's who he is. He's the committee back guy. That's how he won his Super Bowl. You can see it. He does a stupid trick play or some wacky play in every single game because that's what won him a Super Bowl. He's not going to change. His bad coaching job, terrible coaching job in this game was masked by the outcome, by the way things went. People were talking about the fumble at the end. Oh, they could have had a chance, whatever. Why was that guy in the fucking game? Why was he getting touches in the first place? It never should have happened. Okay. Why was Travis Etienne only targeted 3 or 4 times? He had no more than 3 catches in any given game this season. That's criminal for a talent like that to not get those catches. When your quarterback is 50-50, whether he's going to throw the ball to his receiver or 100 yards over him and 90,000 miles an hour, because he doesn't know how to control his touch on his finesse and his balls. This team is so flawed, but they have such young, exciting talent that I think people want them to be better than they actually are. I don't think Jacksonville walks to the division title next year. If the Titans find a quarterback, like if Derek Carr or Tom Brady goes to Tennessee next year, the Jaguars are not winning that division, guys. That's not happening. Not happening. Titans are better. Okay, with the backup quarterback, they were in that playoff game against Jacksonville. So, this game, I love Jacksonville. I've been loving Jacksonville all season long. But when you own players, and you guys know this, when you own players in fantasy, you watch them closely. You pay attention to what's going on. I watched a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars football, and Doug Peterson lost them this game. Everything lined up perfectly with the Chiefs and Mahomes' injury for them to win this game, to steal this game that they had no business winning against a very superior opponent. Everything set up right, and the coach could not get them there. He's the one who lost in this game, and he's the one who's going to get masked, and he's going to be like, "Oh, Doug Peterson's our guy." And no, it's not to no disrespect what you said, John, because you made a lot of really good points. But I think that the reason why I asked you first is because I wanted to know what the general perception was, the general temperature of Doug Peterson in Jacksonville, down in Florida area, was among maybe the people you've talked to, because you do have Jacksonville Jaguars friends, and he's going under the radar down there. John, we need you to spread the word.
Let them know.
Yeah, they just haven't been to the playoffs in so long. They're like, oh my god, like,
right?
It's just,
they should have won that disaster.
Game. Yeah,
they should. Now, like again, Mahomes' injury is the only reason that they could have and should have won the game. But because Mahomes got injured, they should have won that fucking game. They should have won that fucking game, but they didn't because of Doug Peterson, his play calling and his insistence. His insistence, his obsession with using multiple backs when he doesn't have multiple backs to use. That's great when you have multiple backs. If you have Christian McCaffrey and Eli Mitchell, yes, use multiple backs. And Deebo Samuel, multiple fucking backs. Have them hand off to each other. I don't fucking care. But there's the ATN, Hasty, Agnew. Please, dude. Please.
I know, despite Agnew's fumble that fucked him up, he did set him up with a lot of good returns. That's
because he's a good kickoff returner.
I was following with keep him there.
Right.
let him do it.
It's insane. It's like, oh, he has a hot hand.
He also has other options on the offense. I mean, Agnew is like the 6th option.
Right. How is he getting those high value touches over Travis?
They're like, guys, put him on the field. They'll never suspect it.
Look, I can name 5 people off the top of my head in that offense that can easily overtake Agnew. It's just
he doesn't. It's not even worth saying because he's not an offensive player. He's a special teamer. It's crazy to me. Eagles, Giants, also crazy to me is how people thought the Giants had a chance in this game. The Eagles were at home. They're the 1 seed hosting the 6 seed. And they absolutely dismantled the Giants 38-7. Now, the Giants looked good coming out of their first week playoff victory. They didn't look quite as good this week. What do you think, Anthony?
No, it was definitely different game, but it was a different team.
He's awake for this one. Ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're playing a different team, right? It definitely was a totally different Danny Dimes, Danny Quarters, or whatever you want to call him. It definitely didn't.
Danny food stamps. Danny EBT.
Sorry, sir, that doesn't qualify. It wasn't what you wanted.
No. He was unprepared.
It wasn't what you wanted.
Stop it. Who's got food stamp jokes like I've got food stamp jokes? That's good. That's a quality supermarket, factually correct food stamp joke. Sorry, carry on.
You know, you would have at least loved a little bit more of a game. It kind of just got out of hand after the first quarter. There's only so much you can do. The team is just so much better. You know what I mean? That offense is there's no comparison. The Giants defense is nothing that say that it's no. As John says, the Giants defense are no slouch. But
I want to talk about that. I'll get to the Giants defense.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
yeah, I don't know. Anything? Are you finished it? Or
I mean, apparently you guys go ahead, go. Please.
No. I'm good. John needs to cut you off. So John, go ahead. Say what you need to say, bro. Let it out.
All right. Well, first of all, you're
through.
the one. All right. So number one, I'm going to talk about that defense. Is you let James Bradbury walk, and he's the same guy that absolutely burnt you guys. So straight up, like that is just number one about the defense.
Yes, John. I actually called him up and I was like, I approve this.
All right. No. So and then number two,
because of Galladay.
And number two, and that's what I'm going to get at with previous regimes with the Giants, is that they mismanaged their salary cap and didn't address important issues that were needed for that team. Now, Brian Dabo is coach of the year, without a doubt, in my opinion. He
fucking
is
Dabo, bro. Get it right, because it's Dabo.
Dabo.
No, it's not. It's Daboll with L's.
Daboll with L's. All right. Definitely 100% coach of the year. I think Danny Dimes has played himself into a contract for the Giants, but the Giants have a lot of work to do, and do not expect this team to be back in the playoffs with that level of talent. If there's not upgrades with that team, the Giants are not making the playoffs this year, and they're not going to have that cupcake schedule that they had this year. Giants had a really good season. You took advantage of a very weak schedule. You exposed the Vikings team that was just simply not prepared, not as well coached. But I am going to say this about the Giants is that you have a great head coach. I think you found yourself a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, but a good quarterback. And you got some work to do on the defensive side of the ball, especially with that secondary, because I'm going to say this, the Giants secondary is the reason why the Eagles carved your ass up, straight up.
Danny, franchise tag. You can't give him any more than a franchise tag right now. You got to make him play another year under Daboll. After that performance, he folded like a lawn chair. That was bad out of him. He was just flat out bad. And there's really not too much you could do about it. He didn't run. He wasn't accurate. He barely got over 50% completion. He was not good. Who else was not good was actually your boy Brian Daboll. He pooped his pants on the big stage this time. He did not call a great game. They were overmatched. There's no question they were completely overmatched. They, whatever. But the way that he mismanaged the end of that game, I think there was not calling timeouts or something like that, or there was the punt. I'm sorry, the punt. The punt was completely preposterous.
They were 4th and 6 from the Giants' 42-yard line, and they were trailing by 21 points, and they with 13 minutes and 21 seconds. Yeah, that's not smart coaching right there.
That good find from you, John. That's exactly what we were talking about. Yes, at the 42-yard line, 4th and 6. Thank you very much. That's preposterous. Okay. That's just you said it's bad coaching. You know what it is? It's scared coaching. It's quit coaching. It's I lost coaching, because at that point they're rolling over. They're like, we lost. We can't win this game, and that's just not what you want to see out of your head coach in the playoffs, right? When your quarterback's playing as bad as he can play, the defense is getting their asses just completely handed to them, and your coach just lays down and just says, just give it to me, just like we're done, and punts in that situation. Give your guys a chance, let them make a play. You're gonna lose anyway, and that was the thing. Like, I think that was where, to me, I was like, I don't know what he's doing right here. This doesn't make sense. I still don't know what you gain from doing that. I think that's a bad coaching move. After a good coaching season, your last basically indelible image, like this is the one people are going to remember, is that you punted when you were down 21 points and you were just like, yeah, we give up. But with all that being said, Danny Jones, I don't think that they should offer him a deal because, like, I wouldn't give him any more than like a 3-year deal, and it's going to cost you all kinds of money. He's probably not going to want that. He's going to want a long-term deal. I don't know. I don't know. That's just a screwed up situation. They need to fill a lot of holes on this team, but I think that they have the ability to do it. Eagles, the better team by a million miles. Giants, you have to, like, at the end of the day, the Giants can be happy about the season and they overachieved and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
You just have to feel sick about how it ended, but not, you can say, we really enjoyed the ride.
Look what they got. Look what the guy did in 1 year. They had a good draft. They had no cap really. Now after this year, they could do something a little bit, depending if they cut Galladay. Galladay now could cost them
he's
10.
He's gone.
Well, it would have costed them $30 million if they cut him last year. Now it costs 10. Yeah. They picked up draft picks from Tony. So whether they utilize that or just have good, they've done a good draft. Let them fix those with some young players. And
it only take them like 2 off seasons, like 2 really good off seasons to become like a solid contender. If you compare them to the Jaguars right now, both of them, like overachieving teams, got a little further than people thought. The Giants are in better position than the Jaguars. I think the Giants, I would trust them to be really like legitimately good sooner than the Jaguars, just because like that just doesn't feel right to me down there. What's going on in Jacksonville? Sunday, Bengals Bills. Something else just didn't feel quite right, I guess, to the Bills because they were at home and they got their asses kicked. 27-10 does not fully, in my opinion, express this game and how much of a landslide it was in favor of the Bengals. Did you guys watch this one?
Yeah, this was, boy. Let me say this: Josh Allen straight up did not show up for that game. But I'm going to go a step further with coaching, especially with Sean McDermott. When you were talking about coaching and having having something that has been reoccurring this entire time. Buffalo does not have a run game, and every time they can't do something, or it's always that let's let Josh Allen do something incredible all the time, and eventually that runs out. And when your entire offense is Josh Allen making plays and throwing the football, and when he can't throw the football, he's running for his life because he has no run game. This is what happened. So another thing too, they had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, no Von Miller. That was a big factor. But I think the biggest thing is that we knew how the Buffalo Bills were going to lose this game, if they were going to lose this game. And one of the things was, well, all we need to do is go after Josh Allen, make him, shut down the receivers, force him to make plays because they are simply just a one-dimensional offense. And Joe Burrow was just doing whatever he wanted. Clearly the better quarterback. I'm going to argue that Joe Burrow is well in the driver's seat right now. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but Joe Burrow is sitting very pretty in a very good position to be in the Super Bowl this year.
I agree.
And Anthony.
Absolutely. Joe Burrow is just slicing it up, especially much more on the back end of the year. They just been doing whatever they want, and they did it in their place, in their weather. Like the weather, it's just crazy how that game turned out. I thought it would have been a little bit more competitive and closer than it was. And Buffalo hasn't really had a run game all year. They made moves, RB, and just nothing panned out. And then they're like, oh, just let Josh Allen run, let him go head first into somebody because he's a big boy. But I want to see the Bengals, to me, are in the Super Bowl without a doubt, and let's see who they face.
Yeah, it seemed to me that the Bills never saw snow before. It looked like the Bills had never seen snow. They didn't know what was happening. They didn't know how to move around in it at all. It was like the Bills were on literally, like, they say it puts a guy on skates, or like the defense is on skates. They say that these guys literally looked like they were on skates. Like they were just sliding around out there, just not being able to get footing, balance, anything. And the Bengals were just scampering past them. Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, they were just scampering past the fucking defenders. Like the Bills had never played in those conditions. It was bizarre. I was like, Cincinnati, right or wrong, Cincinnati looked like the home team in that situation. They looked completely comfortable playing in that weather, and
you thought they just did it like their whole lives.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like the Bills had never seen that kind of weather before. I know the run game notwithstanding. I mean, that's like you guys mentioned, it's been a problem for years. They need to get that figured out. The receivers now, Diggs got completely shut down, and he was getting all upset about it, right? Which is true, and you can see from the very beginning he was frustrated with Josh Allen. So it wasn't like I'm frustrated with the defense. He was frustrated with Josh Allen, and rightly so.
Oh, yeah, he had like 10 or 11 targets and he only had like 4 catches.
And 10 targets. Gabe Davis really shit the bed this entire season. Like he was supposed to step into his own this year, and he was a huge letdown. He didn't really do much of anything. It was just a shame. The Bills laid a complete egg, when you thought they were going to come out. I certainly thought they'd come out on an emotional high. I got this game wrong with the pick. I'm pretty sure I talked myself into the Bills with all the hoopla, but the Bengals were the better team from start to finish in every single phase of the game, and they deserve to be moving on. And the final game of the weekend was gross, and it was the Cowboys and the 49ers. Now the 49ers come away with the win at home, 19 to 12. But what?
I said, as we knew.
Well, we all kind of assumed that they would win the game. I did not. We knew it was going to be a win. I didn't expect it to go like this, where the Cowboys for sure had plenty of chances to win this game. The 49ers really kind of played like shit for the majority of the game. John, did you watch this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this about the Cowboys 49ers game is Dak really lost this game. 2 interceptions in the red zone is not going to get the job done. I think a lot of people last week when they played an inferior Buccaneers team thought that Dak was back and forgot about all the turnovers he was doing in the last game of the season. What makes this really interesting, though, is that Dallas controlled their own destiny at the end of the season. All they needed to do was win a damn game and possibly win the division. And they had also a shot at being the number 1 seed and having like a first round bye, and they absolutely blew it. And I think the 49ers kind of was a big wake-up call. I actually have to say this about the Dallas defense. The Dallas defense showed up. They really did. And I got to give it to those boys, Michael Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. They play, DeMarcus Lawrence with that sack. But I'm going to say the biggest thing was Dak with the 2 picks and Tony Pollard getting hurt in the second half. That's a big one that changed the trajectory of this game. If Tony Pollard's in that game, maybe we're not seeing that. And a third thing I'm going to note is what happened to Ezekiel Elliott. My goodness, the guy is just a shell of himself. So
it's complete note. Like, where has he been? It's like he went from something that disappeared.
He had like 1 billion carries, and he sort of like got worn out. You know what I mean? He just had too many touches. He got worn out. I mean, he was putting up numbies for a couple of years. You can't take that away from him. But it's every running back runs out of gas. Eventually. Anthony, did you watch this game?
Yeah, I watched it. I was at that point, the way it was going, I was like, you know what? As much as I would hate to say it, I was like, maybe it'd be more exciting if Dallas did win, and you would have like the Dallas Philly game. Just for that, like, oh, this is but then to me the Niners are a better team. Look what they're doing with their boy Purdy, who wasn't looking too Purdy. So that to me the better team, and the way they played it was what we know. The defense is fucking astounding, and so it was like number 1 defense versus like number 2 defense or number 3 defense. I don't know who ranks better as far as Dallas or Philly, but they're like right there. And wasn't what you wanted. You would have liked to have a little more juice out of this, a little more excitement, but
Yeah. Like you mentioned, Purdy didn't play great, and that really. But Purdy didn't play great, but it was also because the Dallas defense did play really, really well. Like Dallas was harassing him. He didn't deal with any. I don't think he dealt with anything like that yet. This was the worst sort of pressure that he's been under that I've seen. He didn't do great, but he also didn't do poorly. He got off to a rocky start, settled in a little bit, but wasn't able to like get to that next level that he had been able to get to before. He wasn't able to really like get the offense going. They did enough. They were in danger for sure of losing this game, but as John mentioned, Dak played terrible. And I do agree with you, John, that Pollard injury was huge because Pollard was explosive. He's always explosive. And yeah, he got really smashed up. CeeDee Lamb had a great game, but the 49ers are just better. They are the better team. With Brock Purdy or whatever, they're still the better team. They have the better complete lineup, and they were able to hang on. They won this ugly game, and they're moving on. So those will comprise our final 4 teams. We have the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are the number 1 seed. The 49ers are the number 2 seed. Both teams were awesome this year. I mean, we've talked about them enough where we don't have to go through who's on what team and what's going on. John, how do you see this one shaking out?
It's going to be a tough one, this one. This is, like I said, these are 2 of the best teams in the NFC. This is something that a lot of experts expected. But when I'm looking at the spread and the over-unders, I'm going to have to go with that under, man. One of the things I've noticed with the 49ers defense is they do a really good job at shutting down really good offenses. I mean, with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, the 49ers limit Patrick Mahomes to, I think, 20 points. I think that's like the highest that they've ever given up this year. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles are no slouch, but
there it is. Sorry, love it.
And I'm gonna go with the money line 49ers in this game.
Something wasn't right. Money line Niners.
Money line Niners, yeah.
That is, I mean, that's spicy. That's about as spicy as it can get in this round. Well, yeah, I think that's about as spicy as you're going to find in this round. No, I guess I'll find out when the.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna. Well, yeah, like if I'm looking at these bets, I'm gonna take the money line with the 49ers at 125. Yeah. I'm gonna go with the under. The over under is 46 and a half. Give me the under. I think both defenses are pretty good. I think the offenses, for the most part, are going to be in the 20 realm. I just think it's going to be under. And if I'm looking at spreads, I'm not even touching those. I'm going to go with the over-under with money line.
What about you, Anthony?
Definitely go with the under as well. I mean, as much as the Eagles can pass the ball, they actually are a very run-heavy offense. So they're going to have to figure out how they're going to have to come out on top, which I think they will come out on top of this game. I don't know what's the spread. I'm not looking at it.
2.5.
It's the 2.5.
2.5 though. I'll give me the Eagles laying at 2.5 and the under. It's an all around football team. Like against the Dallas, Dak. It was a very horrible Dak. My man threw numerous picks. He doesn't have legs like Jalen Hurts does. They don't have the dual threat wide receivers that the Eagles do. So, and with a tight end, so I think that the Niners, if they had a quarterback that could, equate, it'd be a different game and it'd be a much interesting game. But this is the Eagles here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to agree and lay the 2.5 points with the Eagles. I have to say that I'm pretty pleased that I have futures on both of these teams. So I will have a future on whoever is in whoever represents the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. I will have the future. So that's nice. Obviously, I get paid probably like double or triple this. I think triple what I, with the Eagles. So obviously, I'm hoping for that. But Eagles -2.5. I'll take the over 46.5. Cincinnati in the 6:30 p.m. game visits the Kansas City Chiefs. They are now favored by 1 point with a 47.5 over under. Patrick Mahomes is expected to play, but is very injured. Very injured. He's got a high ankle sprain. He's rehabbing. He's doing everything he can. He'll play. He'll be out there. He's not going to be full Patrick Mahomes. Anthony, will that be enough to beat these Bengals?
No, I wish it would have been a full healthy Patrick Mahomes, because this is the team that they want to play. The Chiefs want to play the Bengals because the Bengals knocked them out. I think they knocked them out twice, maybe, at least last year. So
yeah,
they want
Burrow owns Mahomes and Allen right now.
Yeah, so they want this match, but Mahomes wants to be at full health, and he's not going to be. He came out there and rustled through it like that was pat on the back to that man. You know what I mean? Like, he went out there and still wanted to play, even though a lot of it didn't look like he could, but toughed it out. But you're not going to be able to be your full self and stand with this team. So give me the Bengals and give me the over.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I'm 100% going to go with Anthony. I'm going to take it a step further. Patrick Mahomes is 0 for 3 against Joe Burrow. And after this game, Joe Burrow will be 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes, which is a really interesting stat. Obviously, it sucks that Patrick Mahomes is not there, but even with a healthy Patrick Mahomes, I'm still going to go with Cincinnati. Number one, Cincinnati has the better defense. Number two, the Cincinnati Bengals are a more complete offense. They can run the football, they can pass, and they have, simply put, Patrick Mahomes right now, obviously an MVP candidate, but right now Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in this playoffs. I mean, he's been playing absolutely lights out in the playoffs. So give me Cincinnati very easily. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I will lay that point with Cincinnati as well. You can give me the over in this game as well. I think, there's plenty of argument that you can make throughout the course. I mean, I agree Mahomes is the MVP of this season. I agree that part of the reason is because he's arguably one of the best quarterbacks we've ever or will ever see, but also because he brought a team that's not as good up and down as the Bengals is and always does to where they always get to. So he is like otherworldly good. But if you're going to give me, but you could argue, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. This guy is, that guy's. But if you're going to give me Mahomes with this injury versus Burrow right now, I got to take Burrow.
Yeah, look, they took Tyreek Hill away, and look where they are still.
Right. Mahomes is it's hard to describe how good he is. It's hard to describe how good he is. But this injury is enough that it does tip the scales in the favor of a guy who's playing just as fucking good as anybody can play, as including Patrick Mahomes. Like, Burrow is that is playing that well right now. He's playing at maximum quarterback capacity. And he's fully healthy, and Mahomes is not. And that's enough of an edge. That's enough of an edge. When you're playing at the level that these two guys are at, that's the edge. And that's all it takes. So give me the Bengals laying just 1 point and a 47.5. I'll take the over. So what I think, John, I think I heard you say it, and I think I agree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Eagles and the over in that game, and I'm going to take the Bengals and the over.
Double over
in that game. So I did a 2-pick parlay on each game.
I'm going to take the money line with the 49ers.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go with the.
You had the under. I know that when you broke
I'm going to go with the under in this game. Yep.
And then for the other game,
I'm going to go with Cincinnati with the points, and I'm going to go with the under.
Under?
Yep. 2
unders from the no fun guy. Hey, Anthony.
Hey.
What are your parlays?
I'm gonna go with the Eagles and the under, and Bengals over.
Okay, so we're same on that Bengals game, but the Eagles, the over unders were different. Cool. All right. Well, we'll have to see how things play out Who do you think is going to be the key player in the NFC matchup and the key player in the AFC matchup? Because I'll tell you, in my opinion, in the NFC matchup, the key player is definitely going to be Jalen Hurts. He makes the Philly offense go. If Jalen Hurts is humming, then I don't know if the San Francisco offense and San Francisco is going to be able to sort of like keep up with them for 4 full quarters, because that would mean that Brock Purdy would have to be like absolutely lights out.
Well, Brock Purdy's my key player.
Okay, that's fair. And see, and that's the thing. That's fair because that makes it, that makes a lot of sense, at least to me. John, who do you think is the key player in that game?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. This is a tough one for me, but I'm gonna go with, if I could choose a 49er, any passing option there, and I'm gonna particularly go with George Kittle on this one. I feel like if George Kittle could get open and give Brock Purdy some open looks, obviously the Eagles defense is no slouch, but I'm going to go with George Kittle as being a viable option for Brock Purdy, especially for a check down. I think he's a key player for the 49ers, and they need to get him going in order for them to have a chance to keep up with this Eagles offense.
You know what's crazy? And that's a good pick. I thought that George Kittle, like he looked like he had a super impactful game this past game, but like his actual like fantasy points scored was not
that great,
right? But you're right. He does like make a big difference to that offense. He makes that offense go in a lot of different ways. In the AFC, I think my key match. I mean, Burrow obviously would be my the obvious pick for key player. But I think that I'm going to have to say that my key player is going to be Mahomes. What's his level of health? What is he able to do? How do they scheme? How do they get the ball moving around? Kelsey ended up with 14 catches in this last game. That's just absolutely insane. Obviously, I don't expect him to get that much again because Cincinnati is going to, say, hey, you know what? It's crazy to me if any team at this point just doesn't be like, I'm going to put 2, maybe 3 guys on Kelsey. You got to beat me somewhere else. And sometimes Mahomes can do that because he's that good. But can an injured Mahomes do that? We'll see. So I'm gonna say Mahomes is my key player there. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean it has to be, to me, one of the wide receivers on the Chiefs. Just a matter of which one, right? They have so many different types of options on there, but they haven't really used them. I mean, like he has 14 catches. How many targets was that? I don't think it was 14 for 14. So that's got to get at least diluted, spread out a little bit, right? But it's just he doesn't trust anybody, and nobody's as good as Kelsey, at least. But somebody else has got to step on the team. Is it going to be MVS? Is it going to be a Juju who had showed some light in the game? He had a little run going. Tony's good until it takes a few hits or something. You got to get somebody. One of those guys has got to step up. So I guess I got to call it Juju. You came over here. You got paid to start fill in some of the shoes for Tyreek Hill. Step up, son.
Yeah, I think Mahomes is a great one. That's a real close one. But I'm going to go with the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to go with Chris Jones. All right. Chris Jones has been one of the best defensive players, really good at getting at the quarterback. I think Chris Jones is going to be a key player here because if the Kansas City Chiefs are going to do anything or slow him down, it's going to go through Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones is a key player for the Kansas City Chiefs defense to keep them in the game because they're going to need him to keep the Cincinnati Bengals and get a couple stops in order for Mahomes to do what he as best as what he can do. But Chris Jones got to keep this game close.
It's funny. I thought you might say the Bengals offense, just do the Bengals offensive line and just say the whole offensive line. But that's another good way to do it because the Bengals are down from their starting 5. They're missing 3 of their starting 5 offensive linemen. And so Chris Jones could definitely wreck this game. So that's a good call out of you, John.
I love it. The fact that you called a defense player too, that's great.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Like I was like, how's he gonna? Because I was trying to think in my mind, like if it was me going again, I'd be like, well, I would say the Bengals offensive line, but that's a good way to say it, by using one player. So that's a double good job. Nice work, John. Not so nice on the NFL Fantasy Playoff Invitational, though. John, did you guys see the newest standings that just came out? Sorry to report that John is in last place by almost 100 points. It's 80 points about. That's rough. It's a rough one. However, the ironic part is that while 80 points behind, John has all 4 of his players everybody still has 4 players remaining, but all 4 of his are different from the leader. So theoretically, he is still alive, and I am in second place and I'm out. I'm in second place and I'm in the middle of the pack, but both my lineups are blocked by somebody else's lineup. I have the exact same players as another lineup that has more points than me. So I'm out of the competition and there's still 2 more rounds of playoffs left to go. That's not what you want. Not what you want. So in first place, we have a new leader. I believe Anthony was the leader after week 1. Yes. Anthony has tumbled down from the first place all the way to, I think it is 5th, 6th place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. That's not
Kelsey.
Say again.
No Kelsey does that to you.
Yeah, no. Kelsey was the highest scoring player this week by a pretty wide margin, 35.8 points. Anthony went McKinnon, took the wild card there, and it ended up biting him. But you know what? The Chiefs have at least 1 more game, potentially 2 more games left to go, so it's not over yet for Anthony. That's one of his. And he's got a couple of unique players as well to the leader, so he still has a chance. He's at 290.82. Our leader, Danny Mack, has 336.6. Okay, and his 4 players are Hurts, McCaffrey, Chase, and Kelsey. I have 3 points fewer, less than 3 points. I'm behind him, 333.43, but I'm blocked because I have the same 4 players still left alive. Danny has another nice lineup, 322.59. And then Lori G is the next player in the standings with an so 300.92. So if you're scoring at home, that's Danny Mack twice, myself twice, technically, because I'm next after Lori, and Lori put in there. And then Anthony and John, my two co-hosts on this show, are in, that's bringing up the rear. Lori's got 300 points. Now she has a different player in Smith. He has Hurts, she has Smith, he has McCaffrey, she has Purdy. Purdy helped in the first week, hurt badly in the second week. So we'll see how that plays out if Purdy can gain some ground there. Anthony, as we mentioned, 290.82. He's got 3 unique players to the first place lineup, so he's still alive. He was 46 points or so behind, so that's not out of the question at all with 3 players different. Danny Mack's other lineup, and then as we mentioned, bringing up the rear in just like a ridiculously far in last place. I didn't look so deeply into it that I could figure out an obvious reason why John's lineup was that much worse than everybody else's. Right, let's take a look right now. Let's bring it up on the screen here. Who did he have that was just a complete pile of poop?
Justin Jefferson.
Well, everybody had Justin Jefferson, though, so that's not it.
Except for me.
Okay, true, except for Anthony, who had TJ Hawkinson. Eckler, most people had Eckler. Tyreek Hill, I think, was pretty unique. But San Francisco defense jumps out at me as being – but they were one of your – like, they scored 10 and 20. So for a defense, that's really good. But I guess you're sacrificing whatever CMC did, whatever Kittle did. So, yeah, it's puzzling. I almost feel like I did something wrong here. But, like
Wait, spit out his lineup.
It's Mahomes and Burrow.
Okay.
Barkley.
That's because Mike Evans, Diggs had a bad game.
Yeah, but almost everybody had Diggs. You either had Diggs or Allen.
Evan Ingram only gave me 8.1. I
mean, I guess so, but he had 22 in the first. He was like the second best tight end in the first round. So it's not like, again, just like there's nothing to my eye is like this lineup is fucking terrible. I can't believe you picked this person. Like there's so many other lineups that we could look at. Like I could look at Anthony's lineup, for example. No offense, but like you could look at McKinnon and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you picked McKinnon. Whether McKinnon does good or bad next week, it doesn't matter. You could look at that name and be like, How did that person pick that?
AJ
Purdy.
Brown had
Brock
AJ
Purdy.
Brown.
Yeah, but the thing is, a bunch of people had AJ Brown. It's just like I guess you just had the same players everybody else did who did bad. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not smart enough at math to figure this one out. But John, you stink. So, there it is. But hey, Anthony, it was fun while it lasted. That's a tremendous fall from grace, but it's not over. Like, for me, it is very much over. Sad. But I think I wrote in the email that while it sucks that I'm already eliminated because I'm blocked in both my lineups, it's nice to not have to explain to another adult what being blocked, but having a lineup being blocked means. Because in years past, I would have to say, okay, this lineup is blocked, this lineup is blocked. And then I would always get angry emails from people being like, what do you mean I'm blocked? I'm like, well, here's how math works. Like, it was bizarre. And it was every season. And it was full adults who had like real jobs and stuff and driver's licenses. It's great. So, Anthony, are you enjoying your new TV?
Yes, it's awesome.
Cool. You're gonna watch
I'm gonna watch McKinnon kill it to give me his lead back.
Or like Isaiah Pachenko.
I hope something happens there because they're gonna need all the help they can get keeping up with Cincinnati Bengals. Yep. But we'll break it all down and we'll find out how much money I could potentially win during the Super Bowl next week, where it's always Sunday.
Anthony, how's that? You look like you're
picking my nose. This is fucking